stop for a second before you write another plan or watch another motivational video. You need to hear something that might make you uncomfortable. The plan you believe will change your life might be the exact reason you are still stuck. Yes, you start with motivation. You write down your goals. You organize your time. You promise yourself that this time will be different. But a few days later, the same thing happens. You wake up late once. You miss one task. You tell yourself you will make up for it tomorrow. Then suddenly, the entire plan disappears. And what do you do next? You blame yourself. You say you are lazy. You say your willpower is weak. You assume successful people have something you do not. But what if you are not lazy at all? What if the problem is not your willpower? And what if most of the advice you have heard about motivation and discipline is actually preparing you to fail without you realizing it? Because there is one tiny mistake that happens the moment you decide to change your life. It looks logical. It even looks intelligent. That is why you keep repeating it. But before I tell you what it is, imagine a ship leaving the harbor on a calm night. The map was accurate. There was enough fuel, and the captain was completely confident that he knew the route. But the ship never arrived. Not because of a storm, not because of a mechanical failure. It failed to arrive because of one tiny change in direction. A change nobody noticed at the beginning. And you may be doing the exact same thing right now. The question is not, why does your plan fail? The more dangerous question is this: what small mistake happens at the beginning that brings you back to the same place weeks later? Think back to the last time you decided to start over. The decision probably came after a moment of regret. Maybe you saw someone getting ahead of you. Maybe you wasted an entire day. Or maybe you realized that months had passed without any real progress. In that moment, you did not create a normal plan. You created a revenge plan. You said, that is it. Starting tomorrow, I will wake up early. I will exercise every day. I will read. I will learn. I will work for hours. I will stop wasting time. And I will change everything at once. In that moment, you genuinely believed yourself. You were not lying. Your motivation was so strong that the plan looked easy. But there was one problem that only appeared the next day. The person who created the plan, while feeling motivated at midnight, was not the same person who had to follow it after poor sleep, a stressful day, an annoying phone call, and a mind that did not want to do anything. The plan was written by the best version of you, but it had to be followed by the human version of you. The version that gets tired, the version that feels stressed, and the version that gets distracted and sometimes loses all desire to continue. That is where the small change in direction begins. You start 30 minutes late. One task gets delayed. You miss a workout. But strangely, those things are not what destroy the plan. Something far more dangerous happens afterward. Something that turns one small mistake into a complete collapse. And we will come back to that in a moment. The first thing you need to understand is that motivation is not fake. Motivation is real, but it has a very short life. It is the spark that starts the engine, but it is not the fuel that carries you through the entire journey. When you watch a powerful video, hear an inspiring story, or go through something painful, your energy rises. You feel like you can do anything. But emotions move like waves. They rise, then they fall. And most people build plans that only work while the wave is at its highest point. Of course, that can never last. But when motivation disappears, you do not say the feeling is gone. You say you failed. So you start searching for another dose, another video, different music, stronger words, A new notebook, a new application. Then you start again. The emotion fades, and you stop again. You are not moving forward in a straight line. You are trapped inside a cycle. Motivation, intensity, pressure, stopping, regret. Then another burst of motivation. You may be thinking that the solution is discipline. You should do the work whether you feel like it or not. And that idea contains part of the truth. But pay attention. Depending on discipline alone can trap you in something even more dangerous than motivation. Because some people believe discipline means fighting themselves every single day. They wake up tired, so they push harder. They feel stressed, so they pressure themselves even more. They lose focus, so they accuse themselves of being weak, and they feel proud that they can keep going while completely exhausted. At first, it looks impressive. The person is committed. They work for hours. They complete every task. But internally, every day has become a battle. And the problem is, you may win one battle. You may even win 10 battles. But it is very difficult to live your entire life in a state of war. That is why some of the most intense people in the beginning are the first people to disappear later. Not because they are weak, but because they started at a speed they could never maintain. Imagine a runner beginning a long race at maximum speed. During the first minute, they may pass everyone. But the real question is not who was fastest at the beginning. The real question is who is still moving near the end. Here is an important clue. A successful plan is not measured by what you can do on your best days. Your real plan reveals itself on your worst days. The day you did not sleep well. The day your mood was terrible. The day something went wrong. The day you had no energy. But most plans do not recognize that day. They are designed for someone who never gets tired. And strangely, the collapse is not caused by the bad day itself. It is caused by the meaning you give that day. When you miss a workout, you do not say, "I did not exercise today." You say, "I am someone who never stays consistent." When you waste 2 hours, you do not say, "I wasted 2 hours." You say, "I am wasting my life." When you fail to complete part of your plan, you do not treat it like a small mistake. You treat it like evidence about your identity. That is when an action becomes an identity, and a mistake becomes a final judgment. You say, "I know myself. I always start things and never finish them." That sentence is more dangerous than any lost day. Because when you believe failure is part of who you are, returning becomes harder than the task itself. You are no longer trying to complete a workout. You are trying to prove that you are not a failure. And because that burden feels so heavy, you escape. You say, "I will start again next week." But there is no perfectly clean beginning. There is only the present moment you keep trying to avoid. Go back to the ship. Being 1 degree off course was not the disaster. Any ship can drift because of wind or waves. The real disaster was that the crew had no system for noticing the mistake and correcting it. Your plan is the same. It tells you how to begin, but it does not tell you what to do after you stop. It tells you how to succeed on a perfect day, but it does not tell you how to return after a bad one. Now that you understand all of this, are you ready to see the full picture? Because the answer is not to create a plan that prevents you from falling. The answer is to build a plan that already knows you will fall sometimes, but does not allow that fall to become surrender. The truth behind why most motivational plans fail is simple. You are building your plan for the perfect version of yourself, a version that never gets tired, never gets sick, never becomes busy, never changes moods, and never loses motivation. Then, when the real version of you appears, you treat that person like a problem. But You are not the problem. The system is the problem. The right plan is not built around the greatest amount of work you can do when you feel motivated. It is built around the smallest amount of work you can continue doing when you feel exhausted. That is what you must do differently. Create 2 versions of every habit. A version for the good days and a version for the difficult days. On a good day, exercise for 30 minutes. On a difficult day, move for only 5 minutes. On a good day, read 20 pages. On a difficult day, read 1 page. On a good day, work on your project for 2 hours. On a difficult day, open the file and work for 10 minutes. The small version is not meant to produce the full result. Its purpose is to protect your direction. Then create a clear rule for returning. Do not allow yourself to miss 2 days in a row. When you lose 1 day, the next day is not for punishment or compensation. Do not double the task. Do not attack yourself. Return using the smallest possible step, because extreme compensation is often just another plan for failure disguised as seriousness. Finally, connect the habit to a fixed signal after your morning coffee, after you pray, after you return home, after you turn on your computer. Do not leave the starting moment to your mood. Connect it to something that already happens every day. The captain did not need a better map. He needed a compass. He needed regular checks. And he needed a small correction every time the ship moved off course. You do not need a stronger wave of motivation either. You need a system that brings you back when motivation disappears. From now on, do not measure your strength by the number of perfect days you have. Measure it by how quickly you return after a difficult day. You will not succeed because you never stopped. You will succeed because every time you stopped, you returned before the pause became your entire life. Write down 1 habit you want to build. Then write the smallest version of that habit that you could complete on your worst day. Not a huge goal, not an emotional promise, just 1 small step that is almost impossible to refuse. Because your life will not change through 1 massive effort that you make once. It will change through 1 small direction that you refuse to abandon. Now that you know the truth, you cannot keep pretending that you need another wave of motivation. Right, I will return. In the comments if you have decided that your next setback will not be the end of your plan. And send this video to someone who always starts strong, but has never learned how to come back.